Okay, so yesterday we figured out our mix. So the mix we ended up with is the equivalent of 1 gallon of Cabernet, as we have here, which I just opened, 1 gallon of Shiraz, and 1 gallon of the Blackberry, or 1 quart of the Blackberry. So it's 1 gallon, and 1 quart. The Blackberry is basically, it's going to act as a sweetener, and we're going to mix the Blackberry with all three. Then we're going to mix 2 gallons of Shiraz with 1 quart of Blackberry to mix all that. And then the rest of the Blackberry will get bottled and probably mixed with other wines later. We also found out that this stuff is really good. I mean, if you boil the alcohol out of this Blackberry wine right now at 5-6 weeks, it starts to thicken up on its own, and it's got a really good flavor. It's almost like syrup. So we may find a whole bunch of uses for that Blackberry. I'm not a big fan of super sweet wine, so yeah, we'll probably use a Blackberry for other things, including mixing. So let's go ahead and dump this in here. Now, there might be a little sediment in the bottom of these bottles, so I gotta watch I don't pour all that in there. Smells wonderful. Not much for sediment either, it's pretty good. A little bit in the bottom, that's it. There's 1 gallon of Shiraz. Now for the Cabernet. As I'm thinking about that, 1 gallon, 1 quart. Is that what we come up? Ooh, is that what we come up with? I think that was right. Correct. Okay, so we'll be right back. Actually, stopped to check our measurements. It was 1 gallon, and half gallon. So this is a half gallon. We already got labeled Blackberry because we had some wine in this. So we're going to go ahead and fill this half gallon with Blackberry wine, put that in there, and then that will be mixed up and ready to bottle. We ran this through our one-step to make sure it's sanitary. And we're going to fill this half gallon jar up. If you ever hear anybody talk about racking a wine off into a carboy, that's exactly what this is. This little siphon device is called a rack. It just makes the siphoning really easy. Okay. Let that run out. And pour that right into there. So there's our half gallon of Blackberry. There we go. So that's ready to bottle. Okay, so this is what I'm using for bottling. Basically, this has a little pushy bottom like this, lets the wine come out. So this is all sanitized. I've already been bottling a few bottles here. But you just push that in there like that and push it into the bottom of the bottle. And got a little bit of air in the line, so I'm making some foam here. I don't like that too much, but don't know why I'm getting so much air in the lines. Fill that up to the top, and then I just top them all off with a funnel. That lets the foam settle. Like I said, I'm getting some kind of air in there, and I'm not sure what's causing it. Shorter strokes, maybe. Just get a little bit of that. So this is Blackberry Cabernet Shiraz. About 6 weeks old. Tastes wonderful. I know I mentioned this in my earlier video, but when you buy the box wines, they give you all that stuff, little packets for stabilizer and sweetener and all that. I basically threw all that out and just did all the adjustments myself. I've done box wines before, and none of them turn out as good as I can do it myself just by buying the acids adjustments, buying the acids, doing the acid adjustments, doing my own sweetener adjustments with sweet wine versus adding actual sweetener. It just makes a wine much better. Turns out really good. There we go. Okay, so we've done our bottling. So we've got all of these, which is the Cabernet Shiraz Blackberry. And then I've got all these, which I'm getting ready to put corks into. And that is Shiraz Blackberry blend. And then here, what we did here is we took this 3 gallons of blackberry, which really the only thing we're going to use this for probably is for sweetening up other wines as a sweetener. And it is a wine, so it'll age very nicely, and after a few years you can drink it and it'll be really good, but right now it's too sweet. So we just put that in a 3 gallon. We're going to hold on to that in the carboy until we make more wine that we'll blend that with, and that will become our sweetener in some of the other wines. And then I've got probably a couple of gallons of the blackberry that we are going to put in bottles to age and drink later. So now what we're doing here is you have to disinfect these corks. So I've got a whole bunch in the sink, and this is one step that we put in the water. It's sanitary cleaner that you put in your water. It sanitizes. It's one step. You don't have to rinse it off. And what you want to do is you want to soak these corks. So if you look at these corks, they're quite large. So look at the size of the top of a bottle here. I mean, these things are big. Very difficult to get that in there. But once you soak them, they do actually get a little bit bigger, but they'll slide through this corking tool. They'll slide through that real easy once they're nice and wet and ready to go. So you put that cork in there. That lines up with your bottle like this. Put your cork in, pull the handles, and that presses the cork down inside the bottle. So I'm going to go ahead and cork these. We'll probably show you a couple just to show you how it works, and then we'll cut the film and go ahead and finish our bottling. We're kind of running out of time today. So if you want to come around and see the cork right here, I'll put the cork right in there like that. You want to make sure this is lined up nice and square. And that's it. Like that. Try to square it up. Then you just gotta press that in there. These corks are actually a little bit big, so they get a little pressed in, but that's fine. They'll hold. They're not going to pop out of there naturally. Sometimes if your cork is too small, or if you put too much wine in your bottle, some people try to overfill them. Then when you press your cork in, it'll actually stick up out of the top of the bottle a little bit. And if there's any yeast motion going on in there at all, if there's any activity, it'll push that cork right out of the bottle. Also, probably already know this, but your cork could dry, shrink, and come out of the bottle too. That's why these fatter corks are pretty nice. Because they can be bone dry and they're still not going to come out. That's pretty much it for the bottling. Okay, the last part of doing this is you got these little covers like you get when you buy a bottle of wine. These are basically shrink caps. Put them on there like that. Now you're supposed to use a blow dryer. That's how they recommend you do it. And you just put that on there, let it get hot. Still a little crinkly, but not bad. So that's how they recommend you do it. Now I'll show you the way I do it. So you saw how long it took to do that one bottle. Now, I don't recommend people do this unless they know what they're doing with a torch. Basically, I have a propane handheld torch. You hold your hands far away from the bottle, so your torch is, you know, hit that sideways, probably that far away like that. So you just hit that. You see that shrinks up instantly. That bottle's done that quick. So I do that because you get this many bottles, last thing you want to do is sit there and blow dry them for 3 hours after doing all that bottling. So that does a really nice job. Shrinks them up real nice. Worst case, you get a little too close and you might pop one right here at this little pull tab that's supposed to be, you know, peel that off, and sometimes you'll hit that and it'll burn down the seam a little bit and you have to replace it with a new one. Still well worth the time it saves. I'll have this done in probably 10 minutes, this entire batch of bottles. So that's pretty much it. Okay folks, so here is the final bottling day batch of bottles. And of course, like I said, I didn't bottle the three gallon. I may bottle that after I make one more batch of white wine to blend that with. That'll use about half that. Then the rest of that we'll go ahead and bottle. So I've got the equivalent here of I believe, what did I say, 21, 22, 3, 4, 25, like 26 bottles of Shiraz Blackberry blend. Now there's actually more bottles than that, but these are half. These aren't standard bottle 750 milliliters. These are exactly half, so I got half bottles. So when you don't want to drink a full bottle of wine, you just pull out a little one. Then I did bottle 6 of the blackberry, which are right there, just straight blackberry. We're gonna let those age and drink them probably in another year or so. And then here I've got 9 full-size bottles and 7 half bottles. So that's the same as 6.5. There's 3.5 bottles here, so we have 9, so 12.5 bottles or so of the Cabernet Shiraz Blackberry blend. That is everything. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to make a 1 gallon banana, because I've never tried it, banana raisin wine. And I'm also going to try, this is going to sound crazy, but I've got some sweet potatoes. Use sweet potato and raisin, and article I read, people swear by it, it's supposed to be really good. We're going to try it just to see how it turns out. We're also going to try some quart jar wine, so 2 or 3 quart jars. We'll do our ferment in a quart jar. Just make small volume wines to try some crazy types of wines and see how they turn out. So I hope you enjoyed the video. That's wine making, start to finish. So if anybody has any questions, comments, critiques, I know I'm not a perfectionist doing this, but it certainly turns out very good when we do make the wines. I think we do a pretty good job of adjusting the acids and everything and doing it right. But yeah, if you got any critiques or got any questions, leave a comment, let me know. Have a good day.